The Argentero was an ordinary ship. Her story is stuff of legends in 15th century Spain.
Skip it. No story. Just tell them about the plan.
So I have a million questions for you guys. Let's start with, I like throwing a few curveballs at the beginning of every Q&A. And listen, all three of you have worked on numerous projects, and I am curious, for each of you, what do you think was the toughest shot or sequence of your career thus far?
Jesus, no warm-up, huh?
Right.
I mean...
I'll start with a simpler one.
I was like, dude, we've been with you for 30 minutes in the hallway. No heads up.
Right, so I'll start with a simpler one, which is, what's your coffee order?
Okay, so I found this new thing called Ripple, which is like a pea protein, like vegan kind of half and half, high recommend. I don't even know if you can get it out in the world. Do you have to get it at the grocery? I throw a little bit of that in and then just coffee on top. If that's not around, there's no coffee to be had.
Shane's phone's going off, you guys.
I mean, Shane.
The next thing, this is we'll call this get to know our producers and director. What is your favorite? This is not where I was going to go, but what is your favorite thing to cook?
Spaghetti bolognese from the River Cafe.
You cook it?
Yeah, I do. I do.
Oh, so you
Want to come over and have some spaghetti bolognese? Not tonight.
No, yeah. Susan, what do you cook? You cook actual stuff.
Oh, you're giving me way too much credit. I don't even know if this counts. I think I can say I prepare this. That's kind of like cooking. It's like cooking adjacent. Robert likes tuna melts, and I make a mean tuna melt. I don't actually eat it, but he loves it.
Yeah, I don't cook. I wish I did. When I was in college, I used to make pizza where you keep pushing the dough and it keeps having holes in it, and then you fill the hole and another hole over here. That's my cooking.
So do you eat out a lot, or are you more like DoorDash or Uber Eats?
DoorDash is a ripoff. It's like if you ever want like 2 eggs and a piece of cheese for $60, yeah.
I'm not arguing with you.
I don't know what I do. I look what's in the fridge. Can of chili, can of beans, whatever.
Okay.
And healthy stuff as well.
What is the last movie, TV show, or book that you've read that you want to recommend?
I just saw PTA's new movie, and I thought it was fantastic.
I watched Being There recently. It's a great movie.
I'll recommend. I'll put in a plug for a guy I really like, Scott Frank, who did Queen's Gambit. He has a new one on Netflix called Department Q.
Great.
Exquisite.
Oh, yeah.
Really good.
Yeah,
Exquisite.
really good.
And it got renewed for a second season.
I didn't know that.
Deservedly. Yeah.
I'm happy.
So going back to maybe an earlier question, you guys have worked on many projects through your career, and I am curious, was there a particular shot or sequence that really was challenging to pull off, or you judge it as one of the toughest of your careers?
I have one.
Go ahead.
I made a movie called The Gray, and there was a hardcore plane crash in that movie, and we built like a gimbal around a piece of the fuselage that we strapped Liam into and literally turned it like 360. And he got sick, everyone got sick, the camera crew got sick, but it turned out pretty good. Worth it.
I completely agree. Joe Garnhan directed that.
He did.
Great job.
I don't have a single shot. I just have a challenging piece to sort of put together and edit afterwards was the whole car show and the Nice Guys. Because everything, 6 things going on at once, keeping the geography, not having time to get every angle you want, but somehow making it fit so that this guy exits frame here, and here he is in the background of the subsequent shot coming, things like that.
By the way, I'm assuming everyone in here has seen The Nice Guys, and if you haven't, you need to absolutely watch that fucker immediately. Seriously, I believe it's on HBO Max, I think.
Yeah, if you buy the damn thing.
Sorry, my bad. You should obviously buy it.
All right. God, it's a hard question. I'm going to go a different direction. So early in my career, I did a lot of genre movies, and I did this absolutely fabulous one called House of Wax. But I think it has to be probably the most memorable thing we did because we had at the end of the movie, this is a big spoiler alert, I'm sure you're all going to rush home and watch this. The house melts because it's made of wax, right? And so we're there shooting it down in Australia, and I was at the monitor, and I'm like, wow, they really kind of upped the fire this take. And then I'm like, and they're not putting it out. And what's going? And all of a sudden they're like, get out, get out. And we all had to get out. No one was hurt, but we all had to get out of the soundstage. We burned the entire soundstage down.
Oh, dear.
Yeah,
I've
this
heard
was
this
the
story.
it was kind of famous. It was
Yeah.
the largest soundstage in Queensland, and we burned it down. And I remember my boss at the time called me, and I explained to him what was going on, and he's like, you got to go back in and take pictures of there's no inn to go back to. The entire thing was burned. So it certainly is one of the more memorable set moments, I would say.
What happened after it burned down? Like, what happened?
Who got fired?
Yeah, like,
It was just a big insurance claim. Actually, it was the the special effects, the spray they were using was not correct, and it was building it up as opposed to like a flame retardant thing. And so yeah, I mean, we just had to pivot, as you often have to in production, and find other things to shoot while we figured out how we were going to. We were near the end of the shoot, which was good. I mean, we were burning the house down anyway, but yeah, it was pretty crazy.
I'm very happy that everyone made it out without injuries.
Yeah, I don't think I tell the story if it was like.
Oh yeah,
dark.
no, completely. Shane, I want to jump backwards for you. Very early, when you were 22 years old, I believe, you sold the script for Lethal Weapon, and you sold it for a lot of money for a 22-year-old. So what do you remember about that time? And like, seriously, like, what is it like as a 22-year-old to sell a movie like that? Which, you know what I mean? It's crazy.
It is crazy because I suffer from, there you go, imposter syndrome of the first order, which is to say that every time I finish a script, I think, okay, I've written the last funny line I'm ever going to write. How I did that, I don't know. It seems to work. I don't know why or how I did it. I can't do it again. And so all these things would combine. And so when I sold something, there'd be sort of a head scratch, like looking for the guy that wrote the script that's worth so much money to somebody, because to me, but then it shifts, because then they try to change something. Don't you fucking touch that. Because now I guess I do believe in it now. So it's one of those things where you start with this kind of misguided passion. You write a script, you doubt yourself, and gradually you come to fall in love with and accept about, I'd say like 2 weeks in, 3 weeks in, I can do this again. I know how to do this. That to me is what was unique about that time, was having to fight my way past the considerations of having way too much money for someone my age and say, okay, I can do this again. It wasn't a fluke. Because everyone would look at me like, yeah, what the hell do you think? We've been working at this for 10 years. That's the thing. Someone says like, I saw that show Charles in Charge, and that's terrible. My writing's at least as good as that. I should be in TV. It's like, so you're saying that your slightly less shitty writing qualifies you, that they owe you a job because mediocrity is your goal. Just anything that you can get over on people. To me, it has to be great, and it has to be your best work. And so to me, the imposter syndrome was a killer, because I always thought I'm not doing my best work. But I had people to help me, like one guy who's in the audience tonight I'll introduce. He's a wonderful director named Peter Hyams. He directed films like Capricorn 1, Outland, 2010. And he was my mentor for many years. And if you hear me say something that sounds quaint and sort of pithy, it's probably from him.
I'm a fan of your work also. I am curious, and I could be wrong about this. I read that you, besides playing USS Reuben James Crewman in The Hunt for Red October, I read that you actually worked on the script a little bit as a script doctor. Is that true?
Nope.
And there we go. Let's move on. Why is it that you love putting Christmas in all your movies?
I've said this to somebody, you could probably answer for me at this point. It's because Christmas offers a sort of arena, doesn't it? A sort of hush at the end of the year when lonely people are lonelier. The sense of an outsider looking in through a glass window at people who implicitly got a memo he skipped of how to just sort of live in the daily weeds of life. Meet relatives, enjoy dinner, laugh and drink with friends. And at Christmas, that seems all but unattainable to the guy outside in the snow. And yet, against the backdrop of people passing and singing and chatting, and this person must then find his own personal version of Christmas. And it's always going to be a weird, dark sort of dive that comes up with something that's a little more precious because he had to dig deeper for it. Those little nuggets of Christmas. I talk about it in Los Angeles. I was walking late at night with the wind blowing, and there was a little plastic candle of the Virgin swinging on a line from a Mexican lunch wagon. And I looked at it in the dark, like a beacon. And I thought, in its own way, that's so moving. This little blowing, sort of cracked plastic Virgin. It's impressive and powerful in its own way as the 40-foot tall Christmas tree on the lawn of the White House. So I just love the sense of shared experience, the sort of retrospective it gives us, where we're asked to take stock and look back on our lives. Also, I first saw it and its use in Sidney Pollack's film 3 Days of the Condor. Anybody?
Yeah.
And I thought it just had some magic to it. Now, I don't want to do it anymore. Because once you start to notice, like he asked that question, okay, you notice, now it's a one-trick pony, I gotta get the hell rid of it. This movie, I didn't want to do Christmas, but I wanted to do winter in New York, so okay, we can set it in February, or we could just do Christmas.
I was going to say it ends with New Year's Eve, so I'm going to say, anyway, moving on. Jules, I do have an individual question for you. I am a huge fan of the assassination of Jesse James.
By the coward
yeah.
Robert Ford.
And
just
so-
say the whole title.
Oh, sorry, the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford.
You got it.
Yeah, my bad. So I've spoken to Roger Deakins about this and Andrew, and Roger was very specific with me about how he saw a longer cut of the film that was like an extra 30, 45 minutes, and how he loved that version. And I'm just curious, A, what are your thoughts on the longer version, and B, how the hell can I watch it and everyone else in here?
I don't even know if it exists. I think we ended up cutting the better movie. I do. I think that Andrew will always go along in a beautiful way. And it's hard for him to get rid of anything that he loves. And so he held on tight to it for a long time. But we collectively, with Brad, with Ridley, with Dee Dee, we think, to the conclusion of the best movie.
Sure. I would still love to see the deleted scenes.
Yeah.
Just
I gotta
throwing that out there.
Let me look. I'm moving next week, so I'll look for you.
I swear to you, if you tell me I can see them, I will watch them tomorrow.
Okay.
Or the second you let me know.
Deal.
Jumping in.
Jesus Christ, dude, relax.
Jumping into, I love that film, and jumping into why I get to talk to you guys tonight. So what was it about this material, because you've been talking, Shane, about this for a long time. What is it about this Parker that has had you sort of, I need to make this? And what was it about the material for both of you guys that were like, I want to be involved?
I think that there's a kind of old school just sentiment, a feeling in the bones that comes from having read these books, cut my teeth on this since I was literally 9, 10 years old, this type of fiction, and the dance it represents between the author and the audience. And so, when you get a chance to do something, Westlake is the mystery writer. He's the one that the people who sell a lot more books go to and say, you're the real one. If you go to a mystery writer and say, you're a bestseller writer, who do you read? He goes, come here. See, the good stuff behind the bar is Donald Westlake. If you don't know him, read him. It's like a fine bourbon, this guy. And he's been writing for years. He died in 2008. And it's just it's a legacy that I get to be a part of. All these films that portrayed Parker under various names. It's our iteration of it. And talk. This woman, she's like so influential to me. I want to learn from her. So ask her something. She can talk. I'll learn.
Well, I can answer that. I love an expert. That's why I love working with Shane. I'm sure you could tell if you weren't already a fan of his, even the few minutes you've been listening to him. He knows his shit. And when it comes to this genre or this series of books, or honestly, all the Donald Westlake ones, including the ones he's done as Richard Stark, which is what we took the Parker character from. And he knows exactly how to cherry pick the best things from it, the best lines of dialogue. And he does this with Chuck and Anthony, who he writes with, who are also amazing.
Let's call out Chuck, the co-writer.
Yeah,
Chuck
Chuck's
Mondry,
Chuck's here.
where are you?
He's here somewhere.
Here he
He's
is.
waving from the aisle over there.
And where's Chuck's family? Where's his mom?
Oh, hey. Hi, Chuck.
Right
Hello,
there.
Mrs. Mondry. Thank you for your son.
But what I think Shane has in common is that Parker too is an expert, and so I think you have an expert writing on an expert, and that's just like double the pleasure for me. But you know, I've known Shane a long time. We did a little movie together called Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Woo!
And I remember we actually shot some at his house. I'd actually been to parties at his house in my younger years before that. And he has just bookshelves filled with all of these kind of pulp novels. And he just knows this stuff like the back of his hand, and he knew exactly what he wanted to do with this version of it. And as we did, and I got to be sort of a proxy to his work on Iron Man 3, and the way he shapes dialogue, the way he shapes character dynamics, and the crazy twists and turns that are only Shane, I was very excited to see how he was going to take the expert that is Parker as a character and bring him to life. So I was just thrilled.
Jesus. Oh, thank you, Susan.
Did you learn anything, Shane, or did you just get really embarrassed?
No, yeah, it's like, you know, you just sprayed me with my own scent, basically. It's
That's a producer's job some of
Yeah.
the time.
Jules, talk a little bit about what was it about this material that said, I want to be involved.
It was actually, not that it wasn't the material, but it was Shane for me.
They seem to like you.
Yeah. Like who writes like Shane Black? I mean, you can. There are a couple of other good writers in town, but
Chuck and
I
Anthony,
think
maybe.
Chuck and Anthony. Yeah.
but blessed. We are blessed. I've been in this business for 40 years. Others have come and gone. So when she says that, it's like I'm also well aware of the ticking and fleeting time. And the fact that I'm still here is not, I'm not the world's greatest writer, like you say. I'm just lucky, so blessedly lucky to have an opportunity still to do this. And hopefully if this succeeds, I'll do it again. If it doesn't, I love you all, goodbye.
Very dramatic.
I'm confident you're going to be doing this again. I'm very confident. So one of the things that this movie, I love when things happen that I'm not expecting, and the opening of this movie has things that I was not expecting. So talk a little bit about the twists and turns of the beginning and the horse race. Like, that shit's crazy.
Yeah, it's. We wanted to do a slightly different. The Parker books, they're wonderful, but they're like popcorn. They're skinny. You read one in an afternoon or a day, and then you read more. And after 4 of them, you sort of get a sense of this entire sort of world, this backstage dance of a professional thief and his partners. So what's missing in any individual book is a scale. Even the movies, and I love all the Parker movies that have been made, but it's usually a bank heist. It's an armored car. You know, they're up against a hitman. It's a jewel heist. We wanted to craft a slightly more cinematic and larger version without compromising, hopefully, the sense of who Parker is. And there's always going to be the purist who says, you suck, you blew it. Parker's small, does small jobs, and he doesn't smile, and there's no jokes. Fuck you. And maybe there's someone in the audience tonight, but we wanted to just make it lively. There's so many gloomy mood pieces about criminals these days. And Westlake, even the Parker books, as gritty and as cruel as they can be, they're supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be a pact between Westlake, the author, and the reader of a cat and mouse. And so that's why we scaled it up. It's like, it's the only thing that hasn't been done. Let's try it.
It's interesting because I was going to ask you what's the thing that you wanted to bring to this that hasn't been in the other Parker movies, and you've answered it in terms of scale. Yeah. You know? Yeah. So I am curious, every production that you work on, there's always going to be individual challenges you have to overcome. So I'm curious with this, what were some of the big challenges you guys had to overcome behind the scenes in terms of getting it finally to get that green light? Because I know that you've been working on it for a while, and it's been in development for a while.
I mean, honestly, a green light is typically a budget conversation. It's how are you going to mount this in a responsible way for a proper price? And this did bring that challenge. And this is a Christmas movie set in New York City that, to do it, Jules had to find a way to make Australia in the summer work. Now, we did get additional photography in New York for a few key things, which was always part of the production plan. But I would say that was probably, the biggest challenge.
Definitely. I read something today, I don't know if you read, that referred to our end scene in the movie in New York as a CG shot. So is that a compliment or not a compliment? Because we shot in New York, so it's not CG.
Well, this is the problem with the internet. They hear little snippets. They hear it's shot in Australia. So I know, I know it was shot in Australia, so I'm going to go online and wax poetic about how everything's, people just I wish people would read more than one thing before they become an expert on the thing that was talked about and what they read.
Yeah,
But,
that was Times Square. That was Radio City. Those were real.
We were in New York.
Yeah, that was actually Brooklyn Alley.
Yep. Yeah, at one point.
The actors were all CG, though.
So one of the things I was curious about, and I'm going to tiptoe as I ask this question. So this film shows what happens when a bullet goes through an ear. I don't know if anyone's picking up what I'm saying. Again, I'm not mentioning any words, but I'm just curious. When did you write this? Was it before?
Oh God, yeah. When was that? That shot occurred in the year of the election, right? 2024. We wrote that in 2023. So don't go blinking me to that shit.
I didn't say any names. I was just asking. Just talking about how damage happens when bullets go through ears. Anyway, we should all look at people's faces and their ears and see if there's any damage. Anyway, so one of the things that's cool is the opening. Yeah, sorry. The opening credits of the film are really cool. And can you sort of talk about how that came about and why you wanted to do them?
These guys made it come about. I said I wanted to do a credit sequence, not necessarily Bondian, and they got me the guy who does the best Bond ones.
And Danny Kleiman. Yeah.
Danny Kleiman, who did Skyfall, the greatest pre-credit sequence ever in a movie, with that beautiful song by Adele. She got him to do what we could afford, which was a cartoon, but still great.
Well, but you guys had so much fun doing it together, you and Danny, right? I mean, Shane and Danny definitely built that sequence together. And it was fun because we didn't do that sequence until after we'd been shooting the film.
But you made it. You guys made it happen. I said it, and you said, "Well, let's see what happens because we don't know where the money's going to be." And then you came back and said, "If you want it, you got it." God bless you both.
That's the way it works. But it was because it was important. You wanted to set the tone, and it was really a way to set the tone. And there's wonderful, essentially Easter eggs in it. And when you all go back and watch it again on Amazon, you get to see there's so many pieces of the plot that ultimately unfolds that are kind of hinted at, which you don't know then. It just looks beautiful and there's great music and it's interesting and all that. But it was quite clever and it really did set the mood and allowed also that time cut without it just being a cut to black.
I think one of the reasons the film works so well for me is your supporting cast. I even really, really loved Nate Wolff, his performance.
Nat Wolff, yeah. Isn't he funny?
Again, English is a second language. I'm learning. But I'm curious, how much with him was in the script and how much did he add a little flair on set? Because it really, he really was, he delivered.
Yeah,
His big contribution, which he takes great pride in, was the neck brace. He requested the neck brace.
I think what he does is just live in the moment and see what happens, and that's the best acting advice you could give. Is you study the role, you figure it out, you learn the beats, you learn the dialogue, you think about your character, you live it, and then when you step on stage, you forget everything, and just live in the moment. Now you're in the now. And that's what he would do. He would just react and be in the now. And so that's what I think made him so great.
We'll talk a little bit, if you don't mind, about the rest of the supporting cast, because it really lives or dies with these other actors, and Rosa and LaKeith and Michael. There's so many, you know what I mean? Was it one of these things where how did you decide on this cast? How much was it sort of because I'm always curious behind the scenes, how much is the studio saying, we would like to put these people in the movie? Or do you know what I mean? How does that all get figured out?
No studio.
No, they left it to Shane. I think.
Well, they said,
of course,
we can't afford
reasons.
these guys. Yeah.
There's always, but I will say that maybe more than any director, and don't be shy about this. Every actor wants to try to be in a Shane Black movie. And so it was actually really easy to cast this movie because everyone wanted to be in it. It was sometimes an availability thing, sometimes a budget thing, but we had a plethora of choices, and I think we landed right with our team, with our group.
Yeah, there was also, because of Australia, we had to add a couple people that actually were registered in Australia in their version of SAG, because to get our rebate. So we found Chai and Claire. Claire Lovering, they're wonderful. Who loves Stan in the movie?
For sure.
That guy is on the most popular show in Australia right now, where he plays a merman. So let's get him over here.
I did not see that coming.
It's the truth.
Yeah. So I'm fascinated, and everyone who's been to a Collider screening before has heard me ask this, but I love talking about editing because it's where it all comes together. So talk a little bit about what it was like when you guys first got in the editing room. Were you like, and how the film possibly changed as a result of showing it to friends and family?
Well, I had these two helping, and that helps, because the edit is where everything comes down. I mean, look, if you finish a film, you hear a film wrap photography, and you think, wow, they're done. No, it's like, well, 15% there. Because shooting a film is just shopping. Get the ingredients. You get your cucumber, your tomatoes, your lettuce, your croutons, and then you got to go cook it. And the edit is the cooking process. And we had 3 or 4 cooks.
We also had Chris Lebenzon.
Yeah.
Oh, and Chris Lebenzon, the greatest editor ever. Yeah, he's not here. I'm like blown. Chris Lebenzon he's probably my favorite editor ever.
He's fantastic, and he's always willing to try stuff. I mean, I too love the edit as well, and you really get to see things come to life, and you have to try things, you have to bring things down, and just, it's like a great puzzle, because you're just like, what if we just took that little piece out, right? And all of a sudden, everything falls like dominoes. It's like a whole different rhythm comes into play, and you can try things. And when you do have a good editor, and when you do have an open-minded director, there's many possibilities. And sometimes you're like, something's not working, here's what we're going for, and then by tomorrow morning, your editor might have like 3 different versions to show you of something, just to see what we could do. So it's actually really fun. There's a bit of discipline you have to do to it, because you have to adhere to the time, but within that, there's a lot of opportunity to play.
And we're talking about, like, give me 2 less frames here. Okay, put 3 back over here. And because it's that chancy.
Well, I remember, like, the scene after he drops Nat, out, and you stayed with Nat initially, and you saw him get up and this and that, and then you kind of went inside, and then you were with Mark when he heard it. Yeah. And we said, what if we didn't do that? Just stay with Mark. Yeah. And he hears it in there for the first time. And I don't know how it played tonight, but usually it gets a laugh.
Yeah, it plays like a Python bit. He walks away, and the guy's, I'm not dead.
But it's those kind of things. It's whose point of view do you stay in? Because if you've covered it, you've got a lot of options.
But that's also the reason why I love talking about editing, because it's these little, like, that changes the entire scene, whether or not you are on which person, and sometimes a shot that you remove changes everyone's perspective on a character. Oh, for example, without going into spoilers, but in the third act,
I just saw it.
Yeah,
but they're
people
recording it.
We're filming.
Okay.
But
Surprise!
Right. But without going into spoilers, in the third act, somebody gets shot, and it's off screen, and in the way you feel about a character might be different if you saw it being done.
Exactly. It's an infinitely tinkerable. It's like a piece of film that goes from here to like a mile away, and you get to walk along and tinker. And there was always a guy in my neighborhood at midnight. He'd have his garage door open and a car in there, and he's like making noise and playing fucking music. And now I understand the tinkering and it's night, and oh shit, do I have to go home? Because you're just tinkering. It's an infinitely it's good for obsessive people. I'm a recovering alcoholic. I used to be obsessed with where am I going to get my next drink. I just shifted it over here. So hopefully this works.
Well, you know what Robert always says, and I think he got this from Favreau. It's a very Favreau statement. It's like certain people, and I'm definitely one of them, like to pick fly shit out of pepper. That's the phrase. And I am definitely one of those people.
Details.
Right. We're almost out of time, and I'm going to go down the line because I just have a few individual questions, if you don't mind. Susan, what can you tease about what's coming up at Team Downey?
Well, if all goes according to plan, we have actually a little psychological horror movie that we're hoping to be doing before the end of the year, based on Paul Tremblay's best-selling novel, A Head Full of Ghosts. So, a fan.
There's a bird? What was that? It's like
One other thing for you, if you don't mind. I think a lot of us, you guys made 2 really good Sherlock Holmes movies, and I'm just curious, how close did you guys ever get to the starting line of a third one, or has it always been like the script has never been there? Do you know, or was it scheduling, or what ended up happening?
is it upcoming?
Okay, God, that is loaded. How much do I give? Okay, we came pretty close at one point, and I think I'm grateful that we didn't make that version of it. Okay, and I won't go into what that was, which isn't meant to sound cryptic. It didn't work out timing-wise, because we couldn't get it in before Jude was going to be not available again. And then I think it was a good thing that we all stepped back, and then there was a big old pandemic and all that kind of stuff. I would love to bring a third Sherlock to the world. I really would. And we've been playing with it for a long time. We've been talking about slightly different directions. It's always been kind of set in America. Whether that's a good idea or not, I'm not sure. But I love it. I love that idea. So I would just love to do it. It's just hard. It's been a while. The bar is really high, or at least Robert has set the bar really high. So I don't know. Do you guys want to see a third Sherlock?
Yeah.
Or a 4th Iron Man?
Double header.
I have so many things to respond on that one.
I know, right?
Jules, I'm curious. You are doing 2 projects that I'm very curious about. One is Matchbox, and it's being directed by Sam Hargrave, who's done the Extraction movies. I believe it's his first thing outside of Extraction, and you have John Cena as your lead. What can you tease people about it? Because I'm so curious.
It's kind of Matchbox on steroids, I would say, action-wise. I would definitely say it's the best and most fun action movie I've ever made in like a PG-13 way. Cena was great. He's great with Jessica Biel. They've got this incredible chemistry, and it's just a whole lot of fun with stunts that are pretty off the charts.
With Sam Hargrave directing, there's going to be stunts that are off the charts?
Yeah.
I am shocked.
What's the other one?
Oh, the other one is... I'm curious about War Party, which is Andrew Dominic again. And it says plot unknown. It's described as an adventure film about Navy SEALs with Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy's no longer attached to that one. He kind of
Again, I don't know
aged
anything
out,
about what I'm talking
as
about.
happens. Yeah. I don't know. That one's, it's hard because it's a true story about a Navy SEAL, and he's been struggling with how he tells that story with Andrew, so it's still in play.
Got it. Thank you for the update. And Shane, the most important question I have of the night, what are you currently writing / working on? Because as a fan of yours, I am curious what's going on behind the scenes.
Well, I'm hoping to be lucky enough to write an original script that someone gives me the money to sort of control and make per my own vision of it, my own standards for it. So, in other words, I got to keep the budget to like 20, not 150. And if I can make a movie that's tough and character-driven and also whimsical and hysterical and underwater and supernatural and outer spacey and
For
whatever,
20?
yeah, whatever it is, I just know that there's a whimsical kind of thing about the death of magic in life that I want to write. But could someone write it for me, please? Okay. And if whatever comes out, I'll know, because now that this beast is lumbering away, it's out of its cage, and I'm waving it bye to Parker, it's time to go and get the cabin and start writing something new.
My last thing for you, you've written a bunch of scripts through your career, and I'm sure a number of them haven't been made. If you could get the financing to make something that has not been able to get off the ground for whatever reason, what's that one script that's in the desk that you would really love to bring to life?
Yeah.
There's an old piece I did. Neither version worked, but there's a version that could. A vintage 1980s version set in the 80s of Shadow Company, this very first script I ever sat down and wrote. It could be scary. It could be really creepy. And it could be about a generation having stepped away and given the sort of passage of time and the reflection and the retrospective that gives us about Vietnam. I'd love to do potentially a Vietnam horror film again. Last one I can think of was like House, right? Vietnam horror. Jacob's Ladder.
Yeah, Jacob's Ladder, and I believe that's just coming out on 4K right now, or about to, and that's a fantastic film if you haven't seen it. By
the way, what are these damn projectors? I poke my head and it's like she's crying. You can see like little pieces of tear. It's like these are amazing.
Oh yeah, these are LCD screens. Is that right? Where's Tom, the manager? I want to say the whole theater here is LCD screens, and it's super high res, which is why I think if you can see Tron Ares, you might want, besides IMAX, this might be a great place to see it. The level of detail and the level of blacks is really good in here. But anyway, enough about that. I was going to say, if you enjoyed this film, there's this thing called social media, which I know all of you are on. So please spread the word. And ladies and gentlemen, please, warm round of applause for Shane Black, Jules Daly, and Susan Downey.